Welcome back. In Malachi 3:10, God instructs his people to bring their tithes and offerings into his storehouse. Now, back in the day, everybody understood that to mean God's house, specifically the temple. Now, how do we know this? Because 3 times each year, according to the law of the feasts and festivals, God's people were to travel to Jerusalem, where the temple was located, and they were instructed to bring their tithes and offerings with them. I want you to notice the storehouse principle at work here. What made the temple in Jerusalem a storehouse is the fact that all of the tithes and offerings were brought to Jerusalem, were distributed throughout the whole nation of Israel, so as to support God's work, not just in Jerusalem, but throughout the entire country. Make no mistake, the local synagogues and houses of worship were not considered by God to be a storehouse. Now, the local synagogues and houses of worship were supported by offerings that were given. But notice, the tithe was not for local use, but were to be used, more globally. The same principle is at work today. You see, so often I hear of people sending their tithes to some independent ministry because they feel blessed by the work that ministry is doing. So let's be clear here. Independent ministries and local churches are not storehouses. Why not, you might ask? Well, because independent and offshoot ministries who accept tithe against the Word of God and the counsel of inspired people such as Ellen White, they take that tithe and pour it into their own ministry to serve their own purposes. Now, you can give an offering or donate to any ministry you like, but the tithe, which is God's money, not ours, goes into his storehouse for global distribution. Now, somebody might ask, but what if the storehouse abuses or misuses the money? And it's a great question. First of all, the amount of transparency, reporting, and auditing makes that difficult to do. We are one of the most transparent churches in the world. But let's say something goes wrong. Well, here's the counsel. You are called by God to return a faithful tithe. That's it. That's all you're responsible for. After that, God's servants are responsible for what happens to that tithe. And God will deal with his servants should they misuse his money. Here's why I give. Because the blessing is promised to me not based on what the church does with it. It's based on God's faithfulness. Well, that was our nugget for today. Again, thanks for coming out. We'll see you tomorrow.